All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Jen Mason-Garb, and I'm the Executive Director here at AIA Chicago. And I'm with...
This is Linda Dossie. I am President-elect of AIA Chicago and President for next year.
And we are so glad you joined us for the second annual volunteer fair, which was very successful last year. And AIA runs on volunteer power. We've got a good staff, but it also runs on volunteers. And so we're so thrilled to connect today the volunteers who are current volunteers and the new volunteers who are interested in becoming volunteers as well. Let me do some kind of just big picture thoughts here, and that is that you belong here. You belong here. Everybody belongs here. And we've got a really big tent for AIA and AIA Chicago, or a really big table, or whatever the metaphor is. And there's always room for more chairs. And regardless of what you're interested in, regardless of how you want to make an impact, how you want to connect, how you want to grow, learn, this is the place for you. And there's a place for everybody. And with 4,000 members, we are a very big chapter, a very diverse chapter, but it also means we have really great potential to really find and plug people into where they're interested in. So we're so glad that you joined us today. So in addition to myself and Linda, I want to have our other three board members who are on the call introduce themselves, and you see them there. So Shay, why don't we start with you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shay Taylor. I am the Vice President of Education this year. So good to see lots of familiar faces, and I see a few new names. And so I'm looking forward to talking with you a little bit later.
Great.
Kelly, why don't you go next?
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Moynihan. I've been on the board for a few years now, and I'll be starting a new position as Vice President of Membership next year. So looking forward to talking with any of you who are interested in joining. I also am on the COAT 2030 KC, which I know is being represented by another co-chair. So I'm putting a small plug in for that group as well.
And now, Natalie, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Natalie Hicks. I'm the Vice President for Advocacy. I've been in this role for 1 year so far, and we'll be continuing on next year. And like Kelly, I'll give a plug for my other committee. I was a previous co-chair of the EDI committee, and the current co-chairs of the committee are here today if you want to talk to them about EDI issues that also relate to advocacy.
Great. I'd also want to ask our staff to introduce themselves. We have an amazing team of people that makes the machine run. And it's certainly powered by all of you as volunteers, but the staff makes the machine run. And so I want them to introduce themselves because several of them all of them in some ways are directly related to these volunteer roles. So Joan, why don't we start with you? You want to introduce yourself and tell folks also which of the groups that you're connected with.
Okay. Hi, I'm Joan Pomerantz. I'm the Senior Director for Advocacy and Special Projects. I used to be the Program Director here, so I'm very familiar with most of the KCs and affinity groups. And it's great to see so many people here. And thank you for being part of this organization and making things happen for the other members.
Yeah.
And for yourself.
Great. Steve, how about you?
Hi, I'm Steve Riforgiato. I am the Director of Membership and Data Analytics here, and I manage the Firm Ambassador Program.
Great. Kirsten.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kirsten Osgood, Director of Sales and Development. So I help bring in money so we can do all these amazing things. Thank you.
Great. Allison.
Hi, I am the Director of Outreach, and I work specifically with the 4 affinity groups, EDI, YAF, the Alliance, and the Community Engagement Committee.
Great. And last but not least is Madison.
Hi, everyone. My name is Madison Young, and I'm the Programs and Events Coordinator at AIA Chicago, and I help with all things events and logistics.
Great. We have another staff member that wasn't able to join us this afternoon. That's David Cordaro, and he's our communications manager. And just as a note for those current affinity group and volunteer leadership, we let you all know about a couple weeks ago that Ashley Spell's last day was last week. And so if you've got questions that you would have reached out for Ashley, direct those to Madison, and we'll be following up soon with sort of next steps for that role. But yeah, great. All right, let's go back to our PowerPoint here. We've got just some intro slides here that we're going to do. We're going to try to just wrap up this formal portion in about 20 minutes, and then spend the rest of the time allowing you to come and go and talk to whoever you want to at that point. So that'll be sort of more like a formal part for about 20 minutes, and then in and out to hop around and learn more and talk to people. So, all right, next slide here is Linda. Whoops, sorry.
Oh, there it goes. So when we talk about our large group and format and membership, this is a kind of a way that we define the boundaries of where we all inhabit together and all of our shared and common goals. So our AIA Chicago mission here is that we are building on our city's architectural legacy by advocating for the profession, for sharing our knowledge amongst our members and ourselves, and then also with partnering with the communities and the neighborhoods we live in. Our vision overall, though, is to foster a culture of design excellence for equitable, sustainable places and spaces. And this is a broad framework intentionally, and it just means to speak to the commonality of all of us despite our perspectives, the type of work we do, the size of firm we're at, what our goals and our personal aspirations are. We think this aligns with where we are all trying to go together. And now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the core values that we've identified as a chapter, as a membership. We want to be impactful. We know that what we do matters every day in our work, and we want to make sure that what we do above and beyond that also matters, not just to our clients, but also to our society and our culture. We want to be transformative. We want to be aspirational. We want to look for opportunities that we can make a profound and positive change that will last not just in our profession, but also in our society. We want to be visionary. We want to have the imagination and the bold ideas that can inspire others to join us and push everything forward. But we want to be equitable and inclusive. This is all of our aspirations are stronger and better when we can all work together and collaborate together. And with all of that together, we also want to be innovative. We want to be leaders that are recognized to move things forward, to engage others, and to inspire others to also engage. And we hope that is also why you are here today, to learn about all the different ways you can volunteer and serve, to take our core values to heart, and also to share them and push them forward. So one of the goals of this particular volunteer fair that ties in with our strategic plan and goals and missions is a desire to deepen member engagement. With 4,000 plus members, our outreach has to be very broad. And we also just want to make sure that everyone is seen and heard or has a place at the table, as Jen said. So this volunteer fair we see as a way to deepen your engagement with the chapter and what we offer, and make it easier for you to find ways to engage and be involved. And so we are trying to make how you can engage a little clearer and efficient to understand, and also to sort of have you engage so we can target our program communications based on your various interests. Do you want me to go through our strategic goals? It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Yeah. Being a volunteer there is a circle, there is a cycle. We are starting, you are here with the yellow circle in terms of recruitment and finding out information and learning more about things. If you decide to become a volunteer at whatever point that is, there'll be some sort of training. Might be really, really short. If it's just a one-day role, it might be longer. If it's part of a larger committee. There'll be then a time to engage and do the work. We recognize all of our volunteers at the end of the year. That happens in the annual meeting. That annual meeting is coming up on Monday, December 11th, where we do the business of the chapter, but we also recognize all of the volunteers who have served the chapter in the past year. We do evaluations at the end of every year, as well as at the end of the strategic plan, to see how things are working and how we can improve. And then of course the cycle begins again next year. We're going to talk tonight about the different ways to engage. That could be something on a monthly basis. Maybe you're interested in being on a board committee. That's a monthly commitment. Maybe you're interested in a knowledge community or an affinity group. Those are typically quarterly engagement and involvement in preparation for specific events or a task, a strategy that's moving forward. If you're interested in maybe a more focused volunteer role of typically several weeks, could be, I would say, probably in the range of 8 weeks is sort of maybe the task force, an initiative of something that we're doing that's a very concentrated effort, and then it's done. And then we also have very short-term event volunteers. You might be needed for one night and maybe a preparation the day before, something like that, with an info meeting. So regardless of what your interest areas are, regardless of what the level of which you want to get involved, there's a place for you. So we're going to talk about these different areas tonight. Let's see, Shay, do you want to maybe give an introduction here of the 4 different committees that are board committees that are the first way of volunteering and getting involved?
Sure. So aligned with the strategic plan goals, there are committees that form around each of the strategic plan goals, and are led by a representative from the board of directors. So the committees meet once a month, and they're organized around advocacy, development, education, and membership. And each committee works through the strategic plan goals and develops this sort of action items and kind of the really detailed work in executing the goal and kind of monitoring its progress through the life of the strategic plan.
We often say that these are the board committees are focused on the forest and not the trees. These are the committees for the forest, the big picture, the big direction of thinking about the work of the chapter. These are not the committees that are planning events. These aren't the committees that are running the programs, those types of things. These are the broader initiatives. All right. Kelly, do you want to give kind of a quick overview of the knowledge communities and what they do?
I sure can try. All right. So knowledge communities, we have a lot of them. You see them all listed here. And the purpose of those is sort of to kind of collect specialties and expertise into certain categories and bring together individuals under those umbrellas to really share knowledge. I mean, that's why they're called knowledge communities. And that's done through having programs throughout the year, events throughout the year that are geared towards topics and areas of practice that you see listed here amongst all these knowledge communities. So each knowledge community has a couple of co-chairs that sort of lead the knowledge community for planning and development of those programs throughout the year in conjunction with AIA Chicago staff. And really the idea is that it's just another way to have a more kind of intimate connection with membership for the areas that they're interested in or want to kind of develop further skills in the profession of architecture. So it's really the way to share experiences, to showcase, projects, or to discuss kind of the future of practice in some of these cases. So it's really the way that we kind of on a more regular basis engage with one another to become better architects.
Great. Thanks. Natalie, I'm gonna ask you to take the next one. Can you give an overview of what are affinity groups and how they're maybe different than knowledge communities?
Sure. So affinity groups don't quite fit into like a sector of architecture or something so specific. And they permeate through all aspects of architecture and everything that AIA Chicago does, regardless of your firm size or what projects you work on. And so they're also all tied to the strategic plan as well. So we have 4 of these affinity groups now. I think we've added a couple recently, which is great. And so they're similar to the knowledge communities, but a little bit different in that their topics are often more broad. And I think a lot of the affinity groups tend to also partner with knowledge communities to host events and things, which works out really well. I think that about covers it.
Yeah, and they also typically meet quarterly as well.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to learn more about where to find detailed information on these, if you go to the website, go to aichicago.org, and you go to click on the menu in the top right and get involved, that will lead you to a page that looks like this, where then you can drill down and look at all the knowledge communities, all the affinity groups. The volunteer with us button is for other ways, like this evening, this kind of event, or other short-term things that pop up. Are there. Our professional development tab there that is noted there is where we have things that chapter-wide things that the chapter leads around professional development. Those are usually typically staff-led. And then also on the right, you can see a picture there. It will show you who also are all the leaders of that knowledge community or affinity group. And several of them have an email there that you can click on and you can write and you can reach all of them at one time. So if you've got follow-up questions, we're going to certainly give you a lot of follow-up information after the night is over. But if you just are trying to remember who's who and who's here, who did you talk to tonight, this is the place to find them once you drill down into the knowledge communities or affinity groups. You can see the leadership there, and you can read about their bio and you can learn all about David Swain, Kelly Moynihan, and Daniel Giaconetti, for example, for COPE. Good. Let's see, task forces. Madison, are you able to talk about this?
I can talk about it a little bit. So,
Madison's dealing with dental surgery a couple days ago.
sorry if I sound a little bit lispy. I will
Right.
put this on. We'll take one. Okay. Our task forces are commitments that are about that 8-week mark where we are getting ready for a larger event that doesn't fit into the KC and AG model, and there's more work that needs to be done for our larger events of the year that are fun, and it includes a scope outside of our inward communities at AIA Chicago. So we have things like our Third Thursday series that happens every month. We have a guest sketch task force. And we also have our big one with design night and amongst many others. So this is a way that if you're interested in event planning, sponsorship development, if you're interested in a larger commitment to making our events run, a task force might be the best thing for you.
Great, thanks. Short-term volunteering is also an option. Madison, you want to take this one too?
Yeah, I can take this one.
Okay, great.
This will also fall into our task forces room that will open up here in a few minutes. But basically what we're looking for is people in honoring the commitments that you can make as someone and part of our community, of being a part of the planning side or just being there to be an extra hand while the event is happening. So something to this degree is day of volunteering for our Third Thursdays, our guest sketch, our design night, and also something really exciting that's coming here to Chicago next year is the AIA Women's Leadership Summit. So these are smaller commitments if this is something more that you're interested in.
Great. There are two ways that you can stay connected or next steps is, if you aren't already, we want to make sure that you're signed up for the AIA Chicago newsletter. This comes out every other Monday. There's also the opportunity, if you go into each knowledge community or affinity group, and you also additionally type your name in there to the newsletter sign up, that will let us know, okay, you're interested in technology and architectural practice, or you're interested in the LGBTQIA+ Alliance, or whatever. And then that will also help us know where your interests lie. And you can sign up for as many as those as you wish. It just tags us, it tags you on the back end so that we know where your interests lie. You'll get all the general communications if you just sign up for the general newsletter, but you can also sign up for individual areas. And then Madison will follow up with an email to everybody who registered, everybody who's here today, in terms of a volunteer interest form. And that'll just sort of, that's the next step. If this is just sort of the info session, the next one is like, okay, I think I actually want to volunteer for this area. And I guess I would say is, don't click on all the boxes. Just click on the ones that you actually think you want to get involved in, because what we're going to do is we're going to take all those names and then hand them off to the co-chair or chairs of that group. So yeah, don't check all of them, just the ones that you
Pace yourself.
right? Right. That
Every year is a new adventure.
you think you might want to be involved in. I was looking at one person on the back end had like checked everything, and I was like, oh, that's maybe too much right now. So
It was me.
Yeah, so watch for that email. And I would say also for the knowledge community leaders and affinity group leaders, co-chairs who are on the call tonight, please forward that around, also that link to your office mates. You are the best advocate also. So please, we'd love to have deeper engagement from all of your firms, and it would really mean a lot, obviously, coming from you. So please, if you're willing to sort of post something on the kitchen bulletin board, as it were, to your office, we'd really appreciate that as well. So
Big magnets.
big magnets, right? Okay, here is who's here today. We had a great response. There's different groups that you can pop in and out of. So board committees are all going to be in one Zoom room. Each knowledge community that you see there listed with a bullet point is going to be in its own Zoom room. Each affinity group is going to be in its own Zoom room. And then all the task forces and short-term volunteers are going to be in one Zoom room. Unfortunately, Architecture for Justice and Interior Architecture weren't able to join us tonight, representatives from that. But if you hang out here in the main room, maybe Linda and I can talk to you about those. And we can certainly follow up with those groups. So you're welcome to stay as long as you like. You can talk to as many groups as people as you like. There's no commitments tonight. It's just info. It's just gathering. It's like in the old days when you went to the high school gym and you walked around to tables and you talked to people. It's just that you won't be able to get any candy at the tables. I'm sorry, there's no candy tonight. There's no free swag. But it's just that same way of walking around to your high school or college fair and bopping in at different tables. So stay as long as you'd like, talk to as many people as you'd like. Madison, you want to talk us through what's the next steps here?
Yes, absolutely. So you might have all gotten a notification that says the Zoom rooms are open. So that's very exciting. Glad that that worked. But here's how to gain access to those. You go ahead and click more at the bottom of your screen. You click on breakout rooms, and then you select which one you would like to join. I ask all of our volunteer leaders who are here tonight to represent your group that you go ahead and enter into your room. So you can go ahead and do that now. I see a few of you already moving around, which is very exciting to see, which is great. And then for those who have issues with this, if it's hard to figure out, which, Zoom has its own quirks, we're happy to help you out on staff to make sure you're going where you want to be. So you can move into rooms however you would like. You can move in from room to room, and then if you're having any issues, just come back to the main session and we'll
We'll be here.
We'll
We'll
be
be here
Yes.
hanging out in the main room to chat with anybody else in between.
We're like in the big pre-function lobby
Right.
chilling.
So I go ahead and invite all of our potential volunteers to go ahead and choose a room that you feel guided towards. Everybody should be in the room for the majority of the time. So make sure you use your time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Jen and Madison, this is Ryan. So I'm with Architecture for Justice. I am here today if there are any questions.
Okay, great. Madison is gonna create a new room just for you.
Let's see if I can do that. 1 second.
If not, we will co-share our pre-function space with you.
I would be more than happy to stay out here with you ladies.
Okay, I can't make another breakout room without closing all of the rooms. It
Oh,
says.
no.
Oh,
Okay.
let's not do that.
All right. So Architecture for Justice is here.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you
Great.
for joining us.
Thanks, Ryan.
Let's see. We see a few people that are in the main room. Do you have any questions? I just want to make sure everybody is going to the right place here. Okay, we got an I'm good. Thank good. Thank God. Okay, great.
Allison, do you have a place that you think is best to go?
And spread the gospel.
Huma, what room? Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Which room would you like to be in?
Oh,
Oh, we can't hear you.
I think you're on mute.
No,
Oh, we can't
we
hear you.
can't
I'm
hear you.
sorry.
Great. Let's see. Emma, do you need any help getting anywhere?
Are you here to talk to R Squared about Architecture for Justice? Which I have to say, Ryan, when I was at your workshop with all the different KCs, that was I really enjoyed listening to that. I know I wasn't able to be like on camera or like I was in a very loud place, but
Yeah,
it's
no worries.
exciting to hear that you're starting something new and fresh and you have ideas on how to carry it forward.
Yeah, that's the main goal because as we had mentioned, the Architecture for Justice KC has been in hibernation for a little bit, and now there's been a bit of turnover, and I was brought in with Eric, who was the previous co-chair, and he has nominated me to be the chair of it this year, just to really kind of spearhead the initiative. So I'm excited to get the conversations rolling again, and start talking about the nexus of what's occurring in justice architecture, and more specifically how design makes meaningful changes in a really kind of daunting environment.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm gonna go ahead into the task force room.
Okay.
Huma, what do you need from us? Could you type it in the chat, maybe?
Which room you wanted?
You said you lost your breakout room, but which room are you interested in going to? And can you see the box where you can choose one? Or maybe we got to get your microphone working first, probably.
Huma, it looks like you're muted now. Try to unmute.
No, we still
Something's wrong
can't
with your
hear you.
microphone, unfortunately.
Yeah. Maybe, do you want to leave the call
And then just come back?
in and see if that
We'll
works?
still be here.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. And then Emma, you are still in the room with us? Do you have any questions for myself or for Ryan? Or our executive director?
Or Michael, what do you need? Anything?
Michael, how can we help you?
Yeah, I just stopped in one KC and I'm gonna head to another's to learn
Okay.
some more. So
Super.
Hey, nice
Yeah.
to see you. Did you have any questions for us while you're clicking buttons?
I'm curious what Architecture for Justice is all about. So
Well,
if I could get a
Ryan?
little elevator pitch.
Yeah, the little elevator pitch. So really it's a newer KC that's really getting it's
Okay.
coming out of hibernation. And really what we are trying to do is really explore the nexus of healthcare and how it relates to justice architecture. I generally work in corrections, and I'm really, really passionate about it. So one of the things that we're really exploring is the shift in the correctional institute, and specifically in design for correctional institutions, and how we can elevate the discussion and how we can impact meaningful change in correctional environments, and really be the thought leaders that kind of, implement buildings that can promote policy change. And so really it's really just kind of a think tank of, getting people together, talking about hard discussions, and really trying to represent people that historically are underrepresented.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What kind of you said it's coming out of hibernation, so what kind of programming or initiatives have been in the past?
So in the past, that is a really good question. So I'm still new to this, Casey.
Okay.
I know last year it was all, but there wasn't really any that were on the books. This year we are looking at least 2 events this year. The first one being kind of a almost like a Justice 101 panel, which is really just going to be focused on kind of new and upcoming innovations in justice architecture. Specifically how a lot more mental health focused therapeutic housing environments are being incorporated into facilities across the country. And then feeding off of that, the bigger event, what we're looking at, is really highlighting a couple projects that focus on that intersection of healthcare and correctional architecture. One specifically, the Joliet Inpatient Center, was an AIA Design Excellence Award winner for a citation of merit. So we definitely want to highlight that, and talk about some of the design strategies that were implemented as part of that project. And the goal is, hopefully, fingers crossed, get a couple of panelists that actually work within the facility and get some real life feedback about, how the facility interacts with people, and, really just use it as a case study almost to, start to dialogue what works and what doesn't.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very interesting. Yeah, it intrigues me because I think a lot of people are so scared to touch it that it just simply doesn't get talked about whatsoever. So having a forum is really encouraging and exciting.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point, is that it's one of those markets that, it's there, it needs to be talked about, and it needs really creative people to be a part of it. But there's a lot of stigma that's wrapped around the building typology as a whole. So, trying to break that barrier down and get more diversity in the practitioners that are working on it, I think is ultimately one of the main goals that would be, amazing to get out of this.
Okay. What would involvement look like for a volunteer?